Yo, what's up, dudes? It's your bruv, Eagle Brava, and this video is going to be a little bit different than the ones I've typically been posting because there's a lot of things going on in the Borderlands community. So I figured instead of posting a typical pearlescent weapons guide or guide on farming a particular weapon or item in Borderlands 2, we're going to talk a little bit about the community and my thoughts on just kind of everything that's been going on, man. I kind of want to share my experience just seeing everything unfold and give you guys my thoughts on everything, on what's kind of going on. And before I really jump into it, I do want to give you guys just kind of a little bit of a background on myself. I know a lot of these videos, I don't really talk too much about me as a person, as a player, but I have been playing Borderlands ever since it first came out, primarily Borderlands 2. That was actually the first Borderlands I played. I've been playing that game ever since launch, and it's been one of my favorite games of all time, one of the best communities that I've been a part of, and have been posting YouTube videos for a couple years now just on primarily Borderlands 2 content. There's a little bit of Wonderlands, a little bit of Borderlands 3, but primarily Borderlands 2 on my content. There are a few reasons behind that, and kind of the big reason I like to share is just the replayability, but also the simplicity of Borderlands 2. And with the highly anticipated Borderlands 3 rollout, it did take a huge step or a huge upgrade when it came to just customizations, creativity based off of the characters, and really the different things that you could do with each characters, the anointments, the skill trees, everything that Borderlands 2 had, and then some. However, in my opinion, it was a little bit too much, especially for those that are used to enjoying just kind of the simplicity of the Borderlands 2 style, just the easy skill trees, the one farm method where you're farming for one weapon or one item and you're not hoping for a particular anointment. Yes, there are parts that matter that make the gun a little bit more powerful or the shield a little bit better, but Borderlands 3 took it in a place where if you were just coming into the Borderlands community as a first timer and you jump into Borderlands 3, it could be very overwhelming. And after listening to some videos, of course, on some of the bigger creators, seeing some of the conversations that they've had with the Gearbox team, Gearbox even kind of knew that it was a step that they took that might have been a little bit too far out. There were players that were dropping off at a very early stage of the game, and that being due to maybe just the lack of information that was provided in the game and in the early stages of the game, where, of course, with Borderlands 2, Borderlands 1 even, they give you a little bit of a tutorial, but with Borderlands 3, they kind of throw you into it. They assume that you know about shields, about particular elements, stuff like that, and then kind of leaned on the Borderlands next makers to create particular content around those initial tutorial type missions or videos that should have been made in game. They were kind of leaning on the next maker, some other content creators to put out content to kind of help with that. The developers not taking responsibility on that. Going into Borderlands 3 as a brand new player, looking at it from their perspective, I'm not surprised that there's a lot of players that kind of dipped off early in the game. I know that there's a lot of players that also dipped out of Wonderlands early in the game. And I'm not saying that any of those other Borderlands games are not good games. Obviously, I've been a fan of Borderlands games for as long as I can remember, and I've been having a blast, and I've had a blast in Borderlands 3. I had a blast for a little bit in Wonderlands. What takes me back to Borderlands 2 is the simplicity of it and the grind of it. And by grind, I'm particularly talking about end game content. And end game content is such a huge factor with the Borderlands games just in general. We all know this. And Borderlands 2 had one of the best farming systems that any other game has had at that point. It was pretty much the innovator of farming high-level gear, legendary weapons, rare loot, stuff like that. Whereas when it came to Borderlands 3 particularly, you're getting 3 or 4 legendaries before you even hit level 10. So coming from that mindset going into Borderlands 3, you're seeing a legendary every couple levels. It doesn't give you that exciting factor as you would get a legendary in Borderlands 2. It doesn't make you want to grind for those particular guns, because when you see that yellow pop up on the screen or that gold pop up on the screen, you're not as excited as you were in Borderlands 2 because you knew the rarity of it. There are more guns, more loot that are rarer than others. However, when you're so used to seeing that legendary pop up on the map or on the screen, it just gives you a different feeling than it did in Borderlands 2. By the time Gearbox finally put things together with Borderlands 3, finally had targeting farming, most of the players have dropped off at that point moved on to something else, or even took a step back and focused primarily on Borderlands 2. And instead of me just shitting on Borderlands 3 and Wonderlands again, not saying that they're bad games, but what it did do is it separated the community, in my opinion. Something they could have done, something more of like a Destiny 2 feel, where you had, like, you know, your community base. Maybe you go do raids together with other community players, with other Vault Hunters. You go fight raid bosses, stuff like that. Having it more involved with the community, I think, would be really cool, or something that they should have done. Host events monthly, or have these kind of big opportunities for really cool loot. I think having that more approach would have brought people together, but also kind of kept the game fresh, kept the content coming, because I don't even know when the last time any content was updated. I mean, shit, I'm still posting pearlescent weapons guides from Borderlands 2. I'm just having a good time in Borderlands 2, and I'm not trying to say, like, we need content so I can make videos on it. Not saying that at all. I mean, I'm still going to post videos on the stuff that I enjoy, but it'll keep the viewer engaged, a lot more entertained, and then also give us something to look forward to in the future as a community as a whole, because that feeling right there is something that we've lost with Borderlands 3 and Wonderlands. And with Borderlands 4 right around the corner, we want to have that excitement for the new game. We want to jump into it day one. We want to be able to play it for hours and hours on end. However, we've been led astray with some of these newer games over the last few years that has really separated the community. And the big thing that kind of frustrates me is just hearing the community out. I mean, that was something that I've seen in countless videos, and even kind of seen it rolled out with Borderlands 3 and just the target loot farming. The community word is very minimal, and it doesn't seem like the community has a big say in some of those changes. But as a community right now, we're pretty divided. And I will say that I have been into other communities as well. I actually have another channel where I play Call of Duty primarily, and I will say that the Borderlands community is the best community to be involved in. You know, the comments that you guys leave, the positivity, stuff like that, I see that more here than I have in any other community, so it kind of makes me a little upset that we're almost split and really have nothing to come together as a community. So I'm hoping Borderlands 4, with that rollout, gives us something to where we can all work towards together. Hopefully it kind of gets the positivity back up in there. And again, man, there's a lot of different things going on. I'm just a dude that posts pearlescent videos for, you know, the last couple months, so I'm not really too deep into the stuff, into the details, but I just wanted to share what my thoughts were, kind of where Borderlands is, where the community is at in general. And of course, everyone that has commented in the videos, liked the videos, appreciate y'all as always, man. And let me know in the comments below if you're even still playing the Borderlands games, if you're excited for Borderlands 4, and try not to make it a negative video, because again, there's a lot of positivity to look into it. But again, there are some things that needed to be addressed, and something I just wanted to share with y'all and kind of give you a little bit of feedback as to where my brain is at when it comes to this whole thing that's been going on. So, of course, guys, as always, I appreciate you for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.